Hello and welcome to the debate. I'm your host Sana Maqbool with you at PTV WORLD. In today's show, we will be focusing on Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's visit to Saudi Arabia and the kind of outcomes we expect from this visit and what different agenda items will be under discussion. This is an important visit of the new Prime Minister since its first foreign trip since assuming office, and it is to Saudi Arabia for a 3-day visit, and it has come on the invitation of the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The Prime Minister is also accompanied by a high-level delegation, and he will be holding meetings with his counterparts and talking about various issues of mutual interest, including a renewed commitment to take the relationship forward. Even prior to his departure to Saudi Arabia, the Prime Minister spoke about the importance that Pakistan attaches to its relations with Saudi Arabia and the different areas of interest where we can work together and collaborate on different avenues. Of course, this visit is also going to be focusing on energy cooperation and how Saudi Arabia can help us in terms of our economic crisis and, of course, fuel prices as well, and whether or not there can be a discussion with regards to the deferred payment facility, if we can get a further advantage on that. This will also be under discussion among other things that will be part of the agenda of this 3-day visit. What we hope to come out of this visit, what is going to be the different areas that are going to be discussed, and looking forward, where do we see Pakistan and Saudi Arabia's relationship? This is going to be our focus of the discussion today. For this and more, I've been joined in the studios as always by Farrukh Pitafi and Raja Faisal, and I've also been joined online by Dr. Khalid Mohammed Batarfi, who is an assistant professor at Al Faisal University, and I've also been joined by Omar Kareem, research fellow at RUSI. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us in the show today. I'll start with you, Dr. Khalid. Of course, we attach huge importance to Saudi Arabia and our relationship with this country. And as the Prime Minister spoke before leaving for Saudi Arabia, that of course the countries share historic and deep-rooted ties, and that Saudi Arabia has always stood by Pakistan in difficult times. Even now, there are of course different avenues that we look towards Saudi Arabia for, particularly in terms of our economic challenges as well. How would you see the relationship between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, in particular reference to what Saudi Arabia holds dear with regards to Pakistan, and the kind of potential that Saudi Arabia attaches to its ties with our country?
Well, for Saudi Arabia, Pakistan is our closest allies outside the Arab world. Pakistan, for 70 years, was not just a friend, not just a next-door neighbor. It's on the other side of the Arabian Gulf, but also the source of pride for us in Saudi Arabia. It's the biggest Islamic country, a nuclear country. It has one of the largest armies in the world. It's a huge manufacturer of goods and also farmer products. And we have about 2 million Pakistanis working, helping us, improving our lives in Saudi Arabia, helping us building this country. They have been there for generations. I know a lot of my friends are professors in the university and colleagues, and we have many of them working for the biggest companies like Bin Laden and other companies who are building the Holy Mosque where I am today. I am in Mecca today, and I'm proud of their achievements. So, yes, Pakistan for Saudi Arabia is one of its strongest allies. It's the strongest Islamic allies, and it has been for 70 years, and we hope for the next generation to come, inshallah.
Right, absolutely. Mr. Omar, when we look at this particular visit and the kind of expectations that Pakistan holds from not just its new government, but then, of course, its relationship with Saudi Arabia as well, it's going to be an important one. And there are, of course, various areas that have been highlighted by the Prime Minister himself that are going to be under discussion. But it seems perhaps that the economic challenges the country face and the deferred payment facility would also be the focus of attention of this visit. Which areas would you say have the most importance at this moment? And with regards to the deferred payment facility, do you think that our discussion with Saudi Arabia on this matter will be smooth, and we'll be expecting something to come out of this visit?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I think there will be a lot of discussion specifically on economic matters, and I think that politically already Pakistan and Saudi Arabia are very closely aligned. So the discussion will be more focused on something which is right now the priority of Pakistan to get economic support. And I personally think that, yeah, these discussions will be successful and Pakistan will be able to secure this daffodil facility because historically Pakistan has secured this facility more than once. So it's nothing new on the part of Saudi Arabia to especially in terms of daffodil payments or daffodil package to give it to Pakistan. Also, this would be really beneficial for Pakistan right now because, as you know, oil prices in the international market, they're really high. So this is actually a time where such a facility can be of massive economic support for Pakistan. And I also think that there will also be this facility where Pakistani foreign reserves will be boosted up by Saudi Arabia. So I think that the negotiations will be centered around this point. Politically, both sides already agree on most of the regional affairs. The region, in any case, is going through, as we have seen yesterday, reconciliation and approachment. So Pakistan was already a torchbearer of this thing. And I think that we cannot say that Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, they are more close with each other today as at any point as they were in the last few years. So it's probably the highest point in the relationship right now.
Yeah, Dr. Khalid, looking at bilateral cooperation between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, of course, it dates back to 1947, and since the day one, the relationship between both of the countries, it is considered as a brotherly relationship rather than the friendly relationship. So, right now, we know that Pakistan has a history of sending its skilled workers as well as the labor as well to Saudi Arabia. Now there is a new dimension within Saudi Arabia when we talk about the economy. Of course, we know that MBS Vision 2030 is going to play the key role in coming future of Saudi Arabia, and of course, in that Vision 2030 would be requiring a lot of IT skilled workers as well, and Pakistan, youth of Pakistan is capable enough when it comes to IT sector. Could we see in coming future that Pakistani youth would be getting opportunities created within Saudi Arabia in coming future, sir?
Yeah, for sure. And for example, in my university, the responsible for technical issues and for the internet and are Pakistanis engineers, and I have seen a lot of them all over. And of course, in the Vision 2030, we would need a lot of skilled workers and honest workers. According to PU, which is an international data collecting agencies, they said it's 95 Pakistanis love Saudi Arabia. And we can feel it here. Saudi Pakistani workers, they do love us and we love them back. And they are honest workers, they are decent workers, and they really work hard and do what they need to do. And I have some of them working for me as well, and I can testify that they are the best of all. So in the coming years, until 2030, we'll be needing maybe more of Pakistani workers in all walk of lives and all specialties. And I'm sure Pakistan is going to help us with that. By the way, my eye doctor is Pakistani too.
Right. Umar Karim Saab, let me ask you about the academic focus on this relationship. I keep on reading a lot of papers and books on the history of the relationship, but I don't see that kind of works exploring the potential of the cooperation between the two countries. Why is that? And do you think that there are certain aspects which are underemphasized when it comes to cooperation between the two countries?
I would first thank you for asking this very interesting and very pertinent question. So, of course, there is a dearth of proper scholarship detailing the bilateral relationship, its historical, trajectory, interpersonal sort of proximity between leaderships on both sides, the security domain cooperation, you can say the bilateral cooperation when it comes to several regional issues. This has not been really documented in a proper manner. And one reason for this is that Pakistani academics, when they tend to work upon such issues, such topics, they sort of have a Pakistan-centered perspective. And I think this has contributed to this relatively less scholarship in this field detailing the Pakistan-Saudi relationship, because when you are focusing on two countries, you need to be equally mindful of the strategic culture of the strategic rationale of the other side. And I think for Pakistanis, there are some Pakistani academics. I mean, there are some presupposed notions which they try to which they try to reproduce in their work, which creates a little bit of stagnation in terms of where we are in our economic, in our security cooperation. What is the nature of institutional collaboration between the two sides? What are actually maybe the the lacunas or obstacles which are preventing a more fruitful you can say output in terms of the bilateral relationship. So this is why we have our academic community has not been really been able to point out these different aspects of the relationship, and can, I would say, more productively contribute towards the general trajectory of the relationship. Because right now, Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, it's a massive program of national development, as well as societal, you can say, changes. It encompasses so much. But for Pakistanis, it's just, you can say, a banner head. And I think this is where, and then we try to interpret it from our presupposed notions, presupposed understandings of the kingdom. So I think this creates
All
limitations.
right. Dr. Khalid, when we look at the situation with reference to Pakistani workers in Saudi Arabia, as you were mentioning before, and of course the intention perhaps also to increase that and to get more and more workers in Saudi Arabia as well, could we also highlight the different areas where we can see perhaps more Pakistani workers going and working in Saudi Arabia? Of course, under the new Crown Prince, there has been a lot of changes in areas of focus for Saudi Arabia itself, and then the way the world is also transforming. Could there be new avenues for the Pakistani workforce, and also in terms of facilitation, or perhaps also increasing the contacts between the peoples of both the countries as well, not just perhaps for religious reasons? Of course, we understand there's a lot of influx with reference to the holy sites in Saudi Arabia, but perhaps even beyond that, the kind of cultural exchanges that we can hope for with Saudi Arabia, can we focus on that as well?
Yeah, sure. In the construction business, it seems most Pakistanis are working there. And when I'm talking about construction business, it means everything. When you build, say, a new port or airport, you need all kinds of people. You need engineers, you need laborers, you need IT people, you need designers, you need everybody working for that project. And what we have is whole cities coming up in the north, and other cities, older cities are being rebuilt. My city, Jeddah, is now we are replacing third of the city altogether, and 12 cities in Saudi Arabia. We will rebuild the downtown of those cities. So you can imagine that we need everybody actually to come. Whoever have the qualification the interest, and the required skills can come and join, and that include doctors and engineers and laborers and helpers of all kind.
Right, and
So there
that
is
is
no
very
limit
important,
of
Dr.
this.
Batarfi, when we are talking about workforce and how it can actually be absorbed or actually put to work in Saudi Arabia. But regarding another thing, help us understand or unlock the Saudi mind when it comes to investment. Recently, we saw the Future Investment Conference, and the Prime Minister of Pakistan, former Prime Minister, was also invited there. But we saw that there was dearth of pitching power, right? Ideas that could be pitched there. How exactly should Pakistan go about the opportunities? I see that Neom city is coming up. There are umpteen opportunities now that Saudi Arabia is transforming the economy. Can you help us understand where to look and how to understand the ways where Pakistan can sell itself in Saudi Arabia?
Uh, well, if the Pakistanis investors want to invest in Saudi Arabia, they have the one ministry, one shop to go to, and they will have all the information about it. And Mr. Khalid Al Falih is the head of that ministry, the investment ministry. And I'm sure if they go to the Saudi embassy, and the commercial attaché will provide them with everything they need. Or if they go on the internet and Google Neom, for example, or the new industrial cities in Saudi Arabia, Al Jubail, Yambo, and any other places, they will find a space for investors. Now we are also would love to invest in Pakistan, and there is about $20 billion projects that Prince Mohammed bin Salman signed when he went to Pakistan. And inside this project, there's a lot of things that could be related to this project that we would love to have our investors and our business people go and see. And if you could have something like expo, shows, or send
Right,
some
road
of
shows.
the
Yeah.
yes, of your
Can you
people here
can
to
you
explain.
help us understand, since you actually brought up the matter of investment pledge of $20 billion, can you tell us why has the refinery project in Gawada slowed down?
Well, I don't know if it's political or economic. What I hear is there are some issues with the project that need to be ironed out, and maybe in this visit, the Prime Minister would have the chance to discuss it, or later on with between the concerned ministries. But it's nothing that cannot be addressed and resolved.
Yeah, Omar, if we look at, obviously post COVID-19, of course, Pakistan has been looking for to attract FDIs, to attract the foreign direct investments, plus investors from Saudi Arabia as well, especially in the real estate sector. Number one, number two, in the tourism sector, especially towards the northern side of Pakistan. Pakistan has time and again tried to boost them two sectors, and we know that there were pledges made to former Prime Minister. Just wanted to know, would it be pitched once again, and the current government would try to gain more investors in that context or not in this visit?
Yeah, they should be ideally. I mean, any form of bilateral engagement which doesn't include any ideas about Saudi investments, I think it will be incomplete. Pakistan is probably a virgin country in terms of investment potential in many ways, because the country hasn't been seeing real investment coming from outside for more than 10 years. The only bigger investments are the Chinese investments in CPEC projects. And the northern areas in Pakistan, they really are waiting for such kind of big ticket foreign investments. And Saudi Arabia is also investing a lot in hospitality sector, in tourism sector. So Saudi firms can be really like ideal for such investments within Pakistan. Also, we see a lot of Saudis, they go to some specific places in Turkey. And I can say with with great authority that Pakistan has much better places, and Pakistanis, because of their unique understanding of the Saudi culture, we have such a big diaspora, such a big expatriate community. I think Pakistanis can offer much better tourism, places, tourism hotspots for Saudi tourists. But this all needs some visionary improvisations from our end.
Yes.
Also, we need to streamline investment procedures like we have done with the Chinese, investors and firms.
Yeah.
Because one complaint I often hear from Saudi officials or Saudi private business persons is that they need to go through a lot of bureaucratic hurdles, a lot of red tapeism when it comes to Pakistan. As we know, like even in case of the Board of Investment, its chairman's position was constantly changing in the previous government. So these are some of the structural issues. If Pakistan addresses them, I think investment not only from Saudi Arabia but from many other Gulf countries would be flowing in, because Pakistanis by nature, in terms of their understanding of the Saudi culture, there won't be, I think, any country better than Pakistan.
Exactly. Umar, earlier you've highlighted a point, a very important point that was related to academic cooperation. We know that Saudi Arabia, of course, it is the largest funding country of International Islamic University, and we know there are several other institutions as well that are already getting funding from Saudi Arabia. But at the same time, in recent times, we have been seeing that millions of dollars they have been given from Saudi Arabia to different universities of America and UK as well. Should we be expecting in coming future that for the research purposes, Pakistan's science and technology related universities would be getting funding as well, especially NURST and several other universities that are working in the IT sector, that are working in the engineering sector and medical research sector as well. So should we be expecting that as well in coming future?
I think there is really a need for that within Pakistan, both in the science and technology sector, but also in the social sciences sector. But for that to happen, we need to have like a specific body that can oversee such sort of academic collaboration. Like in case of China, we have this China-Pakistan Friendship Center. So there is some sort of an institutional setup which can oversee such projects. I remember there was some collaboration between ComSats and Saudi Ministry of Education, and they wanted to like open up a Saudi technology and industrial initiative in Pakistan, but then it just remained limited to an MOU. So it's like basically it takes two hands to clap, and if we on the Pakistani side we want more such Saudi interest, then we need to push harder for this. We need
Absolutely.
to draw plans, and we need to pitch this up to the Saudi authorities. I think Saudi, from my own understandings, they will be more than willing to collaborate in all such domains, but we need to push this up ourselves. It's just similar as it's the case with investments. We need to improvise, and we need to remove the structural obstacles.
Right, and Dr. Khalid, you're of course also a representative of the Al-Faisal University, and perhaps you can also help us understand the dynamic that we can explore further with different universities in Saudi Arabia as well, and how we can take this forward. But I also want to ask you with reference to how Saudi Arabia can also perhaps help Pakistan or facilitate Pakistan in a role which is perhaps more related to the way Pakistan interacts with different countries in the international community. There are of course issues concerning different conflicts, particularly Kashmir, and then, of course, what Muslims around the world are experiencing as well. And Saudi Arabia is an important country, both politically and economically as well. And perhaps the leverage that Saudi Arabia enjoys in the international community can be utilized more effectively for the issues that concern the Muslim Ummah. How do you think Pakistan and Saudi Arabia can take a leadership with this regard, and what sort of a renewed commitment can we see from Saudi Arabia with regards to these issues?
Saudi Arabia and Pakistan are founding members of the Muslim Leagues and also of the Muslim Organization Union. And they are also founding members of various entities like the Islamic Bank and other entities that belong in the part of Muslim organizations and corporations. So yes, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan can help each other in the international arena. And Saudi have always backed Pakistan in different junctures, like during the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. Saudi Arabia stood with Pakistan not only in financial terms or military terms, but also in the diplomatic and political terms, working together with the international superpowers to make sure that they understood the issue and that they are going to support Pakistan in that case and in other cases also. I believe we need more of that cooperation. I am, as a Saudi, was not happy, to be honest, when Pakistan didn't stood with us in the case of Yemen and Iran, when we had existential threats. But that was in the past. I hope that we overcame that issue, and we both need each other when it comes to such threats to our existence and to our security.
Right. Dr. Pitafi, I'll bring you back to my original question regarding investment in Saudi Arabia. And yesterday also, and twice I've written in the column as well, reference of this book and the movie called, Hologram for the King. And it is about pitching various technologies to the Saudi kingdom. And it seems that there is too much competition when it comes to actually going for business in the kingdom. Chinese are there, Indians are there, elsewhere as well. Is it not important for the two countries to actually establish a permanent institution, fully empowered, that helps investment on both sides?
Yes, I agree with that totally, and I hope there is, if not already there, we should put in position a council. And I agree with my brother Muhammad that there is a lot of structures that need to be altered, to be streamlined, a lot of laws that need to be revisited, a lot of things that we could do together on the level of government to government to facilitate the investment flow to both sides. Without that, business people will always look for the easier environment and welcoming environment. And in this case, Malaysia would be more welcoming than Pakistan in the bureaucratic sense. But Pakistan is much bigger and has much more potential. So if we just work on these bureaucratic issues, we could allow this river of investment to go unhindered and to go without obstacles, without dams on the way that redirected to other areas.
Right. Mr. Umar, when we look at issues that, of course, have concerns with reference to different Muslim nations, and Pakistan has spoken about Islamophobia at various platforms, and due to their efforts, this is something that has been recognized by the UN as well. But then, of course, there's a lot of work that needs to be done by the Muslim countries themselves in order to perhaps devise a way forward in terms of how they're actually going to deal with it, or how different countries are going to implement different measures to actually curtail it. And when we look at countries such as Saudi Arabia, then they have a huge role to play in terms of being the role model or taking the lead in such matters. How do you think that Saudi Arabia and Pakistan can work in collaboration with each other with reference to Islamophobia in particular? And how do we ensure that the way that different Muslim countries are going to respond to the same issue will be in a more united front?
Yeah, definitely. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, they are one of the most prominent Muslim countries. Pakistan is the second most populous Muslim country. Saudi Arabia is a member of the G20, is an oil superpower in its own right, energy superpower in its own right. So we both the UN recognition of Islamophobia and the Day Against Islamophobia, it was a result of joint efforts by both countries and leadership within both countries. Also, I think with the recent development of tensions decreasing between Saudi Arabia and Turkey, I think more such joint ventures and more broader political ventures can be done in this regard, because it's all a matter of making coalitions, strengthening and further increasing the volume of your joint voice. Because one country cannot really change things as much. So this is why the OIC, Organization of Islamic Cooperation, it's so important that when it's the united voice of all the Islamic world, nobody can ignore it. And I think that issues like we may have a different platform, issues like we may have an alternative platform, these were things where a lot of time was wasted. Issues needed to be things needed to be settled within the parameters we already have. And if energy had been pushed into restructuring maybe, or reorienting OIC or different bodies of OIC, we could have achieved much more today. So I think at the end of the day, we do have wasted some time in this regard, but now with Muslim leaderships across the region, across the globe, agreeing upon issues like Islamophobia, their sensitivity and their increasing, it's becoming really relevant for Muslims, not only in the Muslim countries, but also Muslims living in the West.
Right,
so
absolutely.
That's why.
Right, we're almost out of time. I'll just take last questions from both of you. Dr. Khalid, when we look at this particular visit, of course, we have our own expectations from Saudi Arabia, but what is the importance of this particular visit for Saudi Arabia, and what does the leadership in your country hope to achieve from it?
We appreciated that the Prime Minister's first outside visit was to Saudi Arabia. That's a gesture that we appreciated. Of course, now we are in Ramadan, in the last days of Ramadan, and I don't think it is time to discuss deeper issues and to go into different files. He came for Umrah and visit to the Prophet Mosque, and he at the same time was received by the king and the crown the crown prince, and they will discuss, of course, issues in general, or maybe some issues of urgent nature. But we will leave I expect the deeper issues, the other files to next time, maybe another visit of ministers or the Prime Minister.
All right. Mr. Umar, what do you think will be a success for Pakistan from this visit?
Yeah, a key thing would be to keep the Supreme Coordination Council intact because first time it was constituted when the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman he visited Pakistan. Then it became dead, and then it was resuscitated in last year during the Prime Minister Imran Khan's visit. So we must ensure that the Supreme Coordination Council, which links basically Pakistani and Saudi institutions and leaderships, it should remain intact and it should remain above party politics in Pakistan.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Umar Kareem and Dr. Khalid Mohammed Batarafi for joining us and being a part of the debate and talking to us regarding Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's three-day visit to Saudi Arabia. Farrukh, your take on this visit and what we hope is going to be the future dynamic and the future course at Pakistan and Saudi Arabia's relationship.
Right, Sana, as I pointed out day before yesterday, that for any Pakistani leader, because the two countries are so close and culturally, religiously, politically, they're very close, right? And they have been close every time that we have checked. You know, that it is usually thought for a new leader to be a rite of passage to first visit Saudi Arabia, and that is exactly what has happened. But after that, it is also very important to remember, and I was fascinated when we were discussing Islamophobia and other political issues. I was fascinated because in our region, because of what happened in Sri Lanka, there are crisis bells ringing in my head. Any country that has financial or economic vulnerabilities should first focus only on economic issues. And I think Pakistan has other dimensions. We have a standing army. We have actually, when you talk about you know, politics influence, we have everything, right? A thriving you know, political space as well. What we don't have is a thriving economy. And it is very important. I want my Prime Minister to be the pitcher in chief, that he goes everywhere in the world. And first thing he does is to attract investment in Pakistan. As soon as we become financially solvent and we become economically viable, we are going to actually do wonders. And we can help our friends like Saudi Arabia, others, as much as possible in political space as well, as long as we are financially solvent.
Absolutely. Faisal, you want to add something?
Yeah, Sana, to me, I think I would agree with Dr. Khalid that this visit would only bring the relief for Pakistan, but in coming days or in coming months, of course, there will be another visit, and I'm sure my Prime Minister would be, you know, inviting MBS Mohammed bin Salman to Crown Prince to visit Pakistan, and that visit
and the king.
And the king as well. And that visit would actually bring more fruits between both of the cooperation between both of the countries.
Absolutely. And before I conclude, I just also want to say that what happened at Masjid Nabi with reference to when Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and his delegation went there to offer Friday prayers is indeed regrettable and quite unfortunate, and we deeply condemn any such activities in holy and sacred places, which are of course very important to all of us as well, and should be devoid of any political confrontations or any sort of hate speeches with regards to whatever opinion people hold. And so what happened there is indeed regrettable and unfortunate. And we hope that that does not happen again. But we have huge hopes from our relationship with Saudi Arabia and this particular visit as well. And we are sure that as before, our relationship is just going to strengthen. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching the debate. We'll see you next week.